Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy Myron.
Good evening, folks. How y'all doing tonight or today or whenever you're listening to this fine program? We are glad to have you here.
So wherever you are, however you're listening, welcome to some fucking Colin Cowherd bullshit he used to say on his show that I used to think was funny until I started doing this, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound foolish anymore when people come in with a stupid intro, trust me.
Well, you know, it's like a kick to the head, right?
Yeah, like a sequence kick to the head to go along with the sound of the chants.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, do we want to start there, man? Is that where we start right out of the gate?
It's where everybody's talking about, so you might as well start with it and just get it out of the way.
All right, man. Well, let's get into it. We'll talk about it right out of the gate. We'll get it over with. Everybody's got to beat up on the Bellas in some form or fashion, right? So
yeah.
Why? Let me ask you that. Why is that?
The same way they beat up on Roman, the same way they beat up on good-looking people who are talented and better-looking than them, and it's jealousy. It's people don't see them as real wrestlers because they're manufactured talent. Hell, when they got Alicia Fox, they found her she was in like a modeling catalog, okay, and they turned her into a wrestler. She's a great wrestler now. Nikki's a really good wrestler. Brie was good. Brie's having some problems. She's having some transitional issues from coming back from having a kid, for Christ's sake. You can't tell me that everybody who has been out of the wrestling business for as long as she has can walk right back in and hit things perfectly. That's my take on it. I wouldn't want to match with her. That's just me. But I'm not a worker. I don't know the exact deal on it.
You'd want to tangle with her.
I can't tell you. No, I wouldn't want to tangle with her. But like I said, I can't say, well, she's sloppy or she's reckless. I have never wrestled. I will never wrestle. I like wrestling, but I'm a fan. Okay? I can't tell you who was at fault. It looked to me like Brie had, probably hit her too hard and in the wrong place, but who knows? I think she panicked afterward. I can tell you that for sure. Like after she knocked her out, she panicked, and that didn't work out real well. When she had to was pretending like Liv was forcing her into the corner and she was just dragging her.
I mean, she was doing her best just to get her out of the ring, for crying out loud. I mean, she knew she was hurt. I mean, she lit her up like a Christmas tree with those kicks to the head. And, and you brought it up. I mean, we say it all the time. We're not wrestlers. We're just fans. I don't claim to know it was her fault. It was her fault. It was her fault. It's his fault. Well, I mean, a lot of the wrestlers in the world sit there and say, look, shit happens.
Yeah, that's a lot of, shit happens. Because I asked a bunch of wrestlers and I've read a bunch of wrestlers' feedback. Some were like, she was sloppy. Some were she was reckless. Others were just like, shit happens. People get hurt in the wrestling ring. That's just their take on it. So I don't know what to tell you.
Some people outright say Liv Morgan was to blame. She was leaning forward or she didn't handle it right. So she was partially to blame. Now, partially Brie's fault. But like I said, I mean, I jokingly went on, I was on another show and I asked exactly what I said. I'm like, shit's not checkers or ballet, man. I mean, people are going to get hurt. It just happens. We don't like that it happens. The wrestlers don't mean to hurt each other, but like you said, it's a very physical sport and it's bound to happen at some time. I mean, how many people can say I've wrestled and I've never been knocked out, had my bell rung, something to that effect throughout their career. Dude, I, played football and boom, how many times did you get your bell rung? I mean, you just kind of knew.
Concussions nonstop in high school. And it wasn't a big deal at the time because nobody thought a lot about it. And then, get me at a show or something. And then I can't remember the name of somebody I saw the day before. It's just, it's serious. And I hope that everything is taken seriously. And I hope she gets the care she needs and she comes back. She doesn't have any long-term problems from this.
Well, hold on now. They did confirm she's under concussion protocol because she does have a concussion. So first and foremost, all joking and all, whatever aside, we do hope she gets better. I mean, that's obviously, we hope nothing serious, but stuff happens. Yeah.
So whatever, if Brie, needs some more practice. She should try to get it. If that's the issue, I can't weigh in it. I don't know. I just hope it doesn't continue to happen. Okay. I hope this gets better.
I mean, she's probably got one of the best potential trainers in the world living with her, so you know.
Yeah.
In some spare time, but I don't think she forgot how to learn how to wrestle. That's the biggest thing. And not that she was a great wrestler to begin with, but, you know, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing. She never was, exactly the best women's wrestler. She was a good women's wrestler. She's better than she has been since she's come back, but I wouldn't put her up there with like Asuka or Charlotte.
Well, no, but that's neither here nor there. That's just kind of a given. I mean, but just the backlash that the internet world just kind of descended on. Now, let me ask you a silly question too. Do you think it was because it was Liv, who's kind of an internet,
Liv is an internet darling. She's one of those people that's got popular just because of her social media. She's attractive. She seems more accepted than the Bellas ever have. I mean, she's not as popular because I know she doesn't have a TV show and she doesn't have all the millions of dollars. So that's one thing. But
yeah, but you also hear people talking about how green she is. I mean, so they're saying she's green too. So she clearly isn't the wrestler that all of the others are as well. But they're going to give her a pass because they like her, and everybody's going to jump on Brie. And like you said, man, it's I'm fully aware that mistakes happen, and is she at any fault to it? Probably, but I mean, it's at the same time. I mean, Goldberg kicked Bret Hart's head into the 6th row. I mean, and it
never worked again after that.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happens, right? I mean, unfortunately,
it's a situation where everyone in the crowd's an expert. Okay, and we all know how it should be, and we all know. What this looks like and how this move is pulled over. And none of us can do those moves. Our life depended on it. Okay? I don't know how to take that kick. I don't know how to deliver that kick. So,
Well, that's the thing is I think that everybody's an expert. Everybody knows. Everybody's an insider. Everybody, because of this, that, and that, and the other. And that kind of led me right to an article that I wanted to talk about that I read this week. Ryan Lambert over at Deadspin wrote an article that I saw on our on the Gorilla Position website that we're on. I love some of the articles they put up there, so I was just checking a few out.
It's a good source to find things like that. Definitely, it's a good clearinghouse for wrestling information.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of editorial pieces and thought provoking. And the amazing thing is as I told Ryan when we were talking about this kind of stuff. I don't even agree with everything that's on there. It's, and that's the great thing about it. It doesn't.
You don't shit on it.
Oh God, no. It's thought provoking. And that's the great part of it is like, even if I don't agree, which we're going to get into one that I didn't agree with later. But this one was just, I loved it because I think every wrestling fan should read this article. It's a very, very good article. And the name of it was, Pro Wrestling is Great. And you should try watching less.
Amen.
And it's so true. I'm going to go out of order a little bit on my notes because think about, man, how much wrestling there is out there. There's so much.
We just did a quick tally and came up with more than almost a work week worth of wrestling to watch. And then it becomes a job, and it's not fun anymore.
Well, I'll give it to you real quick. I mean, and everybody's going to come back and correct us with all these other promotions that you can watch, and we won't even think about it. The fight apps out there with Wrestling Galore, Power Slam TVs out there with some great stuff on it. I mean, there's just so many places to get wrestling for, but we're just talking what I would say most people would consider. Would you consider them I don't want to say the large companies, but the major names, if I said them, you would say, okay, that pretty much covers it. Now, if you want to correct me, Tapped Out Pod, DM me, that's fine. I get it. But what I consider the big, shows, you get 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, 1 hour of NXT. By the way, I didn't even throw in the 205 Live that I completely forgot about.
I forgot all about that.
Which ain't hard to do, don't get me wrong. 1 hour of New Japan on Access TV, which, by the way, they have shit ton on New Japan World, the service they have. Ring of Honor has a 1 hour show every week that you can get on syndication. It's pretty much everywhere in the country. 2 hours of Impact that's on Pop every week. 1 hour of Lucha when it's running, and that's kind of why I threw in there when it's running. And then 1 hour of MLW, which you can pick up on BN Sports or on the YouTube channel, which is, I know how you watch it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I watch it on YouTube because it's super easy, commercial free. You just set it, and then you can just continue to stream them one after a time. And it's really good wrestling, and it's easy to watch.
You can binge watch too if you fall behind the week.
Yeah, you can binge watch, or you can watch a little bit. It's a cool thing.
Right. So, and that's roughly 10 to 12 hours a week, depending on, give or take, what's on that week, like we were talking about. And then, heaven forbid, if there's a pay-per-view that week, it can be 14 to 16 hours of wrestling in a given week.
God, and the pay-per-views are just lasting too long. I'm sorry.
All of them.
It's one thing when they say, WrestleMania is 4 hours, but it's WrestleMania and it's a big deal. Then they're like, well, okay, the other big four are now 4 hours. And
now they're all 4.
Now they're all 4 hours.
WrestleMania is going to be like 6.
There's just not enough shit to fill 4 hours of good wrestling. So we get video montages. And as it just goes and proves what you said earlier, Nick.
Well, we'll get there because you're right. It's the total thing about just how much wrestling's there. I mean, let's be honest with you. Whether you're a Marvel fan, Star Wars fan, video games, it doesn't matter. Hardcore fandom just eventually becomes a toxic issue.
Yeah.
And people what do you mean by that? Well, if you live if you watched 14 to 16 hours of wrestling in a week, that's basically almost a full season of a regular TV show. Mm-hmm. Give or take. Now, when it's 10 to 12, in 2 weeks, you've watched as much content as you would if you watched a 1 hour show that you loved 20 to 24 hours. That's a season. That's a full 20 to 24 episode season. If you watch that much crap every week, you're bound to find stuff that you don't like about it.
You're going to start finding problems. The good part about that stuff, though, is you don't get very much of it. They control your access to it. You only get 22 episodes or 23 episodes of The Flash, but you don't get it year-round, nonstop. And then if they take a week off for Christmas or New Year's, people lose their damn minds.
I always get frustrated when they take that little mini gap break and it's it's right before the end of the season and there's when they come back there's only 4 episodes left. I'm why the hell did we take a 3-week break for
Because they make you they know how to make you want to watch it.
Well, and that's exactly the point. But here's the problem. It's not even that. Then you live and you die with wrestling, and I know it's this way with Marvel movies. Same thing. People click on every single article, video, everything. Well, with wrestling, if you're living and dying you think about this. You're watching 10 to 12 hours a week. You're on the message boards. Mm-hmm. You're on the news sites. You're on Twitter. You're on everything. First of all, who's got time for that? That's nuts. I'm people ask. I'll go ahead and full disclosure. I schedule a lot of the posts on our Twitter feed. I'm not doing that shit live.
Yeah.
That's everybody's whoa, behind the curtain, y'all. Hello. Literally, I stay up really late one night and, when I do the show and I will post, I'll schedule all that stuff to come out. I hate to tell y'all people, guess what I'm doing during the day most of the time? I'm working.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm working, it's real simple. I'm working.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to be posting stuff all the time, man. And even silly stuff dude, all that time that you spend on those message boards and stuff, do we just know too much?
Yeah, there's way too much. There's just way too much known about wrestling and known about what's booking. And, okay, here it is. A story about the Iconics. Their show just went off. Okay? It just keeps going on and on and on. It never stops. you know, you get this kind of stuff during football season. You get all this behind the scenes stuff, but you only watch for your team really, or the big news. But we're saturated with this stuff. Absolutely saturated with the news about these people in wrestling. And you got these podcasts where they expect you to listen an hour a week, and they talk about wrestling nonstop. And it gets tiring. And we do this. We're still putting out some of the content that we're saying it's just too much. Don't listen to every episode of ours if you don't want to. If you want to, yeah.
Actually, but, don't listen to him. You listen to every episode.
Okay, cool.
Well, you know, hold on. I'll tell you why, Myron.
What's that?
Because you know why you would want to listen to our episode? Because we're going to probably cover everything that you wanted to know about between us and, like, if you're an Impact fan, if you listen to Lewis's show, the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast, you remember the feeds are all separate now, guys, so you got to go over and subscribe and listen to them over there. Lewis will give you their Impact breakdown. The Dorks will give you, the WWE breakdown from Raw and SmackDown, and we'll turn around and we'll give you all of what we consider the big points for the whole week. If it's big news, we'll probably cover it for you, break it all down for you, and we're just going to make you think. That's kind of what we're trying to do. Make you think, not necessarily reporting this happened, this happened, this happened. But it's, like you said, man, you can skip. Let's go back to what we were talking about, how, as far as, if you know too much, if you know how the magic works, is the magic trick any fun anymore?
Not to me.
I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. I mean, if you know every single week who's going to be the surprise for the week, remember Hell in a Cell week, we joked about it. We were so busy on Sunday, we didn't get to stay on Twitter at all. So we didn't know Brock Lesnar was coming.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. That made it better for me when I saw him. I was surprised. It was awesome. Because I didn't watch everything. I've cut back on watching previews for movies because you learn too much. So I'm cutting back on watching wrestling news and wrestling, just all these spoilers. Don't quit spoiling me. Just quit spoiling things for me. I like to eat it. I like to learn it. I like to watch it. If I'm going to watch it, if not, I'll go watch, if I'm not, then you can tell me about it. But I'm not going to, I don't have to watch every episode. I mean, I haven't seen SmackDown tonight right now. I'm probably going to turn it on later while I'm doing some work that I have to do on another project. Let it run in the background. But, it was, I'm not going to ruin this for me. I enjoy it too much.
Well, that's kind of the thing, is that we were talking about, like, hey, this article is talking about how great wrestling can be, and you might be better off if you don't watch so much. I mean, full disclosure, I didn't watch all of Raw live last night. A matter of fact, I'll go ahead and tell you, I didn't watch 100% of Raw. Mm-hmm. There was a really good football game on. Controversial maybe is a better word than necessarily good, but it was a great second half. The Tampa Bay was trying to storm back and, get into the game, and Fitzpatrick was doing a little magic, as they like to say. He made a great comeback to try to get that win. I was sucked in, man. So I'm watching it. I'm flipping back and forth. No wonder Raw. I was joking. No wonder Raw had one of the worst viewerships, or actually the worst one ever, because that game was a pretty damn good game to be watching. Yeah,
and like I said, it was the Big Bang Theory's final series.
The season started. Yeah, it was the first episode.
That drew 12 million people. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people out of the equation, because if you want to go watch that, go watch that. DVR your wrestling.
Well, it's funny.
Later.
Ryan Lambert, he wrote in this article that it's really, really something to keep in mind. If you just wanted to say, you know what I'm going to do, especially WWE, by the way, because they cater to every casual fan that you can possibly come up with, they will give you could probably just watch the pay-per-views and you would be okay. A matter of fact, we have a friend, that's what her and her family does.
Yeah.
Cindy, they have the network, they watch the pay-per-views, that's it. Because she says, and she's right, before every single match, you get a 3 or 4 minute recap that will show you everything you needed to know about why those people are wrestling. And you're like,
I agree.
I'm caught up. Mm-hmm. And she saved minimum 5 hours a week from watching Raw and SmackDown. Mm-hmm. And, you know, yeah, let's say you zip through and you skip the commercials. You're still talking hour and a half for SmackDown and probably 2 hours for Raw. You know, unless you even fast forward through some of the stuff that you just don't want to see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the amount.
I take a break. I take a break from WWE every once in a while because I'll go 2-3 weeks without watching it, and it's fine. And when I come back, I either want to watch it more or I didn't miss enough to have to worry about it. No, it's cool, man. It's people, we take everything too seriously. We get so worked up about everything. We can't relax and enjoy ourselves anymore. We can't have a conversation about politics or wrestling or religion with other people without it starting into a fight.
Well, it's a joke that when I read this article, I wrote down in my notes. Also, because you want to read and you want to be an expert and you want to know how everything works. Don't be an elitist because you like Italian food and I like Mexican food, or God forbid I like both, because that's my favorite one. You can go out on Twitter or Facebook, you will get blasted about, you know, WWE, or you'll get blasted about liking Ring of Honor from both sides. And the problem is that they assume, well, if he likes WWE, he doesn't like Ring of Honor or he doesn't like Impact. And I'm like, what if I liked all three?
Yeah, exactly. I'll watch them. If I want to watch them, I'll watch them. I don't always like any wrestling. I want to switch back and forth. You know, I want to go and say, hey, let's watch Impact for a couple of weeks and not watch WWE. And that's fine with me. You know? I don't know why people want to hate each other, people want to hate wrestling, and people want to critique stuff. Don't watch it if you don't like it. You know?
Yeah, because there's more than 10 to 12 hours of wrestling you can be watching instead.
Yeah. If you go to a wrestling show and you don't like it, you don't go back. You know? If you don't like what they're doing on a TV show, go watch something else. Go find a different kind of wrestling you do like, but that doesn't mean you don't have to like something. I just get frustrated. You know, it's just so frustrating to have all these people fighting about something that I enjoy so much. And I think it's because doing this podcast has taught me that if I get too serious about this stuff and I get to the point where I'm obsessed and following and reading everything I can about wrestling, I stop enjoying it as much. So I watch when I want to. When I want to watch wrestling, I watch wrestling. I don't try to say, well, I got to watch this many hours of TV this week because it's going to ruin it for me. It's not going to be enjoyable. So everybody does things their own way, but think about it, folks. Think about it. You know, what else are you going to do?
Right. I mean, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, because the biggest part of it is, like I said, I agree with you 100% that everybody becomes an expert because they read everything and they think they know everything. And here's the funny part. Mm-hmm. I don't know everything. I like to talk about it, but I'm not telling, hey, this guy's great, this guy sucks, this guy, it's like, it's thought provoking. And it just kind of cracks me up that we become so, we know everything because we've, even the part where we complain about things like, oh, that was a rehash. I've seen that before, Hollywood, man, they're rebooting everything.
Yeah.
Wrestling's the same thing. There's nothing really that's new. It's all, how can you put new twists on, that kind of thing. Nothing
is new under the sun. And that's the truth.
And then, even stuff like, another article that I wanted to bring up that I saw on the Gorilla Position this week. Basically the article said that the WWE's Crown Jewel and the Super Showdown in Australia, they're nothing but lazy cash grabs. First of all, duh. I mean, we were kind of, I don't know. I would say they're cash grabs. I wouldn't call them lazy cash grabs, but I'd call them cash grabs nonetheless.
That's the way to make money.
Well,
that's that simple.
Yeah. I mean, because remember we talked about Saudi, man, 45 million reasons why.
Yeah. These purists and this thing. Yeah, okay, it's a cash grab. It's so they would get money, but they're also going over to get money, and they're going to present the same kind of thing that would be presented in a pay-per-view. Okay? So what? You get Triple H and Taker. You don't like it, don't watch it. I'd like to see it. I think that's going to be a good match from an old classic standpoint, you know, to remind me of what things were like back in the Attitude Era. So I'm going to be interested in seeing that. If you're not interested, don't watch it.
Well, the thing that I was bringing up is, you know, that people take for granted these cards have been going on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE's gone to South Africa. They've gone to Japan. They've gone to, you know, other countries, and they've put these shows on before. They just didn't have a network to put it on, so they didn't hype it to death on their TV show because you weren't going to be able to see it anyway, so why hype it?
Now they can make you subscribe to the network to get it.
Well, they're, like I said, they just weren't on TV. Well, now, because the network's there, if this big card took place and they didn't put it on the network, people would complain, a la Starrcade last year.
Yep.
So, and we talked about that last week. It was, hey, Starrcade wasn't on the network last year. Everybody was like, why not? Why not? You could put hell, we've had people saying like, oh, they should put house shows, just regular old, no commentary house shows on the network. Okay. I mean, all of a sudden then everybody's going to go like, well, God, that's just more TV. It's wrestling every night, 2 hours, 3 hours, blah, blah, blah. Dude, if it's there, they're going to put it for you there. And on top of that, the people complaining that Undertaker and Triple H are like, well, there's no backstory. They're just wrestling or whatever. Don't need one. I mean, first of all, they did give a little bit of one. They basically said, hey, Vince said they had a big show. They wanted to see Triple H wrestle Undertaker. So it's going to happen. They made it happen.
Yeah, they book these shows, just try to draw attention. Not a big deal. Watch it or don't watch it. Storyline, it may not affect anything at all. You know, there wasn't anything that happened at Saudi Arabia they let Braun Strowman win the Royal so he could be over more. And I think that's the only thing that came out of it, is it just put Braun Strowman over more, and then you had the great slip and fall. But there wasn't anything, you know, so what? Can't they just wrestle a match or just do a show and we just watch it because it's on television?
As I like to put it to some fans, the same fans that say there's no storyline and there's no reason for Triple H to wrestle Undertaker is the same fan who wants AJ Styles to wrestle Shawn Michaels for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
they just want to see it.
Justification for that.
I mean, yeah,
it's a dream match.
Well, we've seen Taker and Triple H before. Bluntly, folks, let's put it honest with you. This is what the Saudi people are paying for. This is what the Australian people were paying for. They wanted to see Triple H and Undertaker wrestle. Vince is going to give it to them because there's probably 40 million reasons again or 30 million or whatever the hell he's getting, reasons why he's giving them that match. And it wasn't for you. They just happened to have the availability to put it on the network, so they're going to.
Yep.
So, cut and dry, it's a business decision. And I'm not saying it's, you know, like every business decision they've ever made is the best thing for pro wrestling. It's not. It's the best for their pockets. And they just going forward, that's kind of how it's got to be run, right?
Mm-hmm. Just relax, folks. It's cool. They've got something that we're going to get a little bit of extra wrestling. They're not taking anything away from us.
Yeah. And like you said, if you don't want to watch WWE anymore, it'll shave a good 6 hours of wrestling time out of your week. You can just watch Impact, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, you know, blah, blah, blah.
How about this, folks? Go to a show. Go to a live show. Go to a local indie promotion. Get out there and see something in person.
Yeah, and stay tuned because we're going to plug something that we went to this past week, and it was an awesome show. But before we get off of this Crown Jewel and the Super Show, the minister and chairman of the General Sports Authority in Saudi Arabia tweeted out a picture of Hulk Hogan. So now the rumors are flying again that this guy's going to show up at the Crown Jewel. Thoughts and opinions on that, man, before we get too far?
Well, it's not like the Saudi government gives two craps about what's going on with him and him have said racist stuff. They don't care. They just want the name on their show. You know, they don't get what's going on in internal wrestling politics and public opinion. They just want a wrestling show, and they want a big name on it. And so when you think about wrestling and big names, you think about Hulk Hogan. You know, these are the same people that wanted to book the damn Yokozuna match and the Ultimate Warrior match last time. Right. They don't know. They don't have any clue.
They just remember the names, man. They remember the names, and that's what they want.
And this is not for us. They're paying for this. This is what they wanted to see. If Hogan comes back, yeah, not that big a deal. I don't want to see him in a ring because he's nearly my mother's age, and it's just no point.
Dude, the thing is, they don't. If they pay enough money and all they want to do is see him walk out there, and they want to see, God help him, everybody's going to blast me for this one. If you want to see Kurt Hawkins come out there and get a boot to the head or, punch to the head and goes outside of the ring.
The fucking barber beefcake.
Well, there you go. See him get knocked around a little bit. Maybe that's what they want. So, I don't have a problem with it. I know everybody, because it's not for me to judge. We've had this whole conversation in the past. Go back in the archives and dig through every single freaking episode and find the one that we're talking about. Because I don't know who the hell's been going through our archives, but dude, I looked the last week.
Yeah.
Okay, for the 40-something people that that downloaded our episode from 2 months ago, God bless you. I don't know who did it. I don't know how it happened, but like 40-something people downloaded an episode from like a month and a half, 2 months ago, and it just made me laugh when I saw that on the downloads. I was like, God,
we're that good, man.
I guess
we're the plain truth wrestling dealers,
Okay, maybe that's it, man. But hey, we were talking about Hogan coming back. I think the big comeback so far of the week that everybody's been talking about is Rey Mysterio finally. How long have we been talking about this guy coming back? First it was he was going to Impact.
Yeah.
Then he was going to WWE again. Then he went to All In and wrestled, and then he did, so it was bouncing around. So here he is. He's officially coming back. 2-year deal with an out at 18 months because that's kind of what he wanted.
Yeah.
But we've said before, this is going to be his final run probably. It was to get his son in a good position, training with the company.
Yeah.
And that's all this essentially was. So everybody beat up Rey Mysterio because essentially it was a cash grab at the end of his career and nepotism to take care of his son.
Well,
so,
if I could do that.
Everybody go on the internet, shit on Rey Mysterio now.
If you could take care of your kids at work, wouldn't you? Can anybody here say that, if it could set their kids up with a good job and a good career, would you not do it? If you could help your kids get on with a good company, or you could do something to help your kids secure a future for themselves, and you didn't do it, I think you'd be an irresponsible parent. This is a way that he's trying to take care of his kid. More power to him, man. I think it's cool.
Don't get me wrong. I think that it's Ray wants that one last good run. The crowd's going to be happy. He's going to come back. I don't know what they're going to book him as, and I'm sure everybody's going to complain about what they book him as.
Yeah.
Because it won't be good enough if he's not champion.
No.
So be it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'm excited.
Look at they put him on the 205. You got guys from the 205 showing up as managers on the big shows. Okay. You got guys that were crossing over and making more and more impact on the main roster that were 205s. Look at Leo Rush. This is a perfect deal for him. This Bobby Roode thing.
Lashley.
I don't get Bobby Lashley. I don't get the whole the thing they got going on with Drake Maverick and Authors of Pain, but they needed somebody to talk for them. So okay, cool. Hope it helps out. Hope this does a trick. Ray's got all kind of things he can do. He doesn't have to work on one show. He can work anywhere on their programming. So it's good for business.
Here's the crazy part. He should be probably on SmackDown, but they're probably going to put him on Raw because of what they had to pay him.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Now, when they move to Fox, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go over to SmackDown, though.
Yeah, they'll put him in if he's still under contract when they go over to Fox on that show.
Oh, he will be. It's a year before he'll still have the minimum. He'll have that 6 months or so left because I think they go October of 19, so it'll be roughly a year when they move over to SmackDown. So he'll have at minimum 6 months, possibly a whole year to see where we go from there. So,
well, I think that's great.
I agree with you, man. I'm excited. Glad Ray's back. I just like to see him on the big stage, and I say that with all due respect to all the other promotions.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. Now, one guy's coming in, one legend's going out, but it sounds like Matt Hardy's kind of got something coming up on the table already. It looks like WWE's going to take care of him. I know there was rumors that people had put out there that, he's going to go back to Impact and do some stuff. But it looks like WWE right out of the gates come up with a project on the network where they're talking about doing a pilot with some kind of a show. Is it a sitcom?
Reality sitcom, whatever. They're brilliant. Okay. Reevy's brilliant. The kids are hilarious. Senor Benjamin is one of my all-time favorite wrestling supporting characters.
So it's going to be a reality style show, but they're going to be in the Woken World characters. Is that what it is? I mean, is that...
maybe they're woken, maybe they're not woken, maybe it's just...
Well, no, they said it's Woken World involved, so that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking it's not going to be like, when I say reality-based, I think it's going to be... Awesome. I think it's going to be scripted reality of, like, living with the Woken Matt Hardy and Senor Benjamin.
I'm in.
You know what? Jeremy Borash is there. He can help them produce this thing. If they can pull off the magic where they're not trying, because think about the true beauty of this, it'll be a separated entity from Raw and SmackDown. Like, you're not having to try to make me believe it on Raw.
No.
It's a total standalone project where it's a TV show.
It can be edited.
It could be edited, which they're going to do on stuff that they'll do that pre-tape stuff for Raw and stuff. But I'm just excited. But I'm like, okay, you can make like a TV show with the Woken characters, and I can't wait to think things like, are we going to see Brother Nero popping in? I can't wait for the Hurricane to do a swing by.
Yeah.
Shannon Moore, who we saw, which we'll get into later, but just stuff like that. I think that's got all the potential in the world to be a hysterical show on the network. One of the many reasons why you should get your WWE Network subscription for $9.99 a month.
Exactly. Hey, speaking of Shannon Moore, they're going to be doing tattoos at WrestleCade.
I heard.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you knew you were drinking the other night and you were texting me, messaging me.
I told you that, and I'm just telling it to the fans.
I'm just kidding.
I wasn't that incoherent, but yes. Yeah, I was talking to him, and I got to figure out what our schedule looks like for all the shows we're going to. If we can work something out, I might get a tattoo on there. So, cool. Just neat stuff.
Cool stuff. Well, let's go ahead. Well, we're talking about it. Superstars of Wrestling in Rome, Georgia, the big old fan fest they had up there, and they had a big wrestling show. We were there from 1 to 5 for the fan fest. Dude, it feels like we saw everybody. And then at 7 o'clock, they had the show start. But we were there the whole, 4 hours.
And I wasn't worn out, because usually I get all worn out by after 4 hours. And, we did a 4-hour fan fest and we're fine, because it was nice and cool in the arena and everybody was super friendly.
Yeah. I mean, we joked about it. I mean, we got to talk to Dr. Tom Pritchard again.
Yep.
He remembered drinking a beer with us at WrestleCade, man. How funny was that, right? You completely marked out for that.
Just totally made my day.
Yep. Robert Gibson was messing with you. He was tapping on your shoulder and doing the walk away thing. And
and I fall for that every time, because I'm not that quick.
Some cool things that people we had never met that I really wanted to kind of put over a little bit. First of all, I've always heard very, very positive things about Dave Milliken, the Godfather of Bells, and Jay-Z. He's won. Jay-Z Flair's won. Yeah. Conrad Thompson puts him over, of course, and everybody that says everything about him is 100% accurate. He was as nice as can be.
Super nice. And engaging, interesting. Yeah, man. That was cool. Meeting him was really cool. And that's what I say. Get out to these shows, folks. Christ's sake. They had Demolition. I got to see Paul Orndorff. Got an Orndorff signature. I may never see him again when you think about it. Okay? He's not in great shape. Get out there and see these people that you loved as children, and get in touch with wrestling again.
Get in touch with people that you didn't really know that you loved as much as you did.
Yeah.
Like, it was probably one of the best interactions we had. He was so fun. Duke the Dumpster Drose was there, and we sat and talked to him, and very engaging, like you said. He was a super nice guy to us. I mean, we offered to help out with a couple things down the road. But his stories, if you're not following him on Facebook, you gotta follow him. He's writing some really good stories on there. I think there's a video. I think there's a podcast involved. But hey, go over to his Twitter, or he doesn't have a Twitter. That's right. We got to get it. We told him we got to get him a Twitter, but he is on Facebook, Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Go on his Facebook, man, and message him and tell him that we need to hear these as podcasts. We need to hear these stories so they're really in depth and not just, I love that they're written out. He's saying he is at least telling them, but let's get into the meat of them and tell some of these stories because they sound hilarious.
Yeah.
So
a lot of fun, guys.
Oh God,
we get out there because when you're just watching wrestling on TV and you're not knowing the personalities and you're not knowing the people, it's not as engaging. But we sat and talked to Rosemary for a minute. Everybody there was super cool.
Gary. Don't forget
Gary Lamb.
Gary Lamb, yeah. Southern Honor Wrestling.
Yeah, I had a great time talking to him.
Between him and QT Marshall, who runs the One Fall Power Factory, by the way, in Norcross, Georgia, if you're looking to really be either just getting your training started or the polishing, touches on your career, getting heading in the right direction, follow them over at Facebook, that, One Fall Power Factory, One Fall Wrestling. I mean, those, the top thing, but man, I can't lie to you. It's sitting there and just chatting with QT while the show's going and, of course, while some of the fan fest was going on, just dropping, hearing him tell stories about All In and, that kind of stuff. It was just fun.
He worked Gorilla for a huge portion of All In. Pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, guys got some experience, man. I'm just telling you.
Good time with Still Real Dave.
Dave it's still real to me. Dave is a hoot. If you can be around him for any given time, he will make you laugh in some form or fashion. I made the mistake. Yes. I gave out some info and we lived it. We couldn't live it down the whole thing. It was a running joke the whole time we were there and before he left. So yeah, definitely. But again, shout outs to Frankie Paris, those guys up there at the Superstars of Wrestling Fanfest. It was a blast. I mean, all the way to the end, there was a little bit of a super kick party with the Young Bucks who were there doing autographs and stuff. Star of the show, future champion, Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kid is getting a great wrestling experience, I tell you what.
Oh God, yeah. She's seeing everybody and meeting everybody. And it was funny. I walked up to her and was like, "Are you the world famous Perry?" And she was like, "Yeah." So she's a star in the making. So, definitely again, shout outs to Frankie, man. Definitely great show, fan fest.
Great venue.
Oh, the venue was top notch. Yeah. So, if they run that thing next year, make sure you're following that page. And, if they run it again next year, make sure you get out and check them out as well.
You're missing out.
Yeah. Speaking of which events we don't want to miss, we got to get going here. I know the NWA 7th anniversary show up in Nashville is coming up pretty soon. Shivani's going to be involved. Cornette's going to be involved. Doing a little bit of commentary stuff.
It's going to be a lot of talent on that show. It's a big deal. 7th anniversary of the NWA.
Sad part is I hate to be controversial. I love the NWA brand. I always have. It's what we grew up on here in the South. For the better part of our childhood, but what are they right now? And it's just the questions I keep asking.
You're not celebrating the what are they right now. That's what I'm not celebrating. I want to.
Okay, then it's not the 7th because if you're the 70th anniversary thing, like you have a card that you're still putting on. I'm like, you kind of are. If that's why they call it NWA Fan Fest. When they do them in the Carolinas and stuff, that's celebrating the memory of. Cody and Nick Aldis too is going to go down at that card. Speaking controversial, I completely am picking Nick Aldis to get the belt back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Aldis will get the belt back and he'll go work and continue this great run he's on. So more power to him. It's a great time. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan because you're getting to see stuff outside the WWE if you don't like it. You could be a wrestling fan and never turn on a WWE program and still have a full card of wrestling all the time.
Okay. You know why I will tell you real quick before we move on. You know why I'm picking Aldis?
What's that?
The only reason I think Cody won that belt at the All In event was they needed that moment. After that, Cody doesn't need that belt.
No, Cody don't need that belt. That's just the thing that it was the big pop moment to get everybody's attention. focus all eyes on that. Get Cody, get some pictures of the belt, and then go on and do something else. He's fine.
Cody's carrying the Ring of Honor banner. I mean, I think down the road that's kind of going to be his thing. Him and the Bucks have their thing going. All this is going to go on and carry that NWA title, and kind of do what it does. Make and that's make those towns go into the championship wrestling from Hollywood, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of I think that's kind of what he's built for. And Cody's, I think, built for. Did you ever think in your lifetime? And I almost said it and caught myself before I said it because I'm still going to say it. Cody Rhodes is bigger than that NWA belt.
Yeah, that right now he is the hottest wrestler in the business. He is the hottest wrestler in the business, bar none. Mm. Can't argue with it. Wherever he goes, he's going to draw, and he's going to be a big deal, and his name's going to be at the top of every card outside WWE right now. Yeah. Love it. Love it. This guy's done something. He has gone out there and done something. So it's something special that you can really look on as he's groundbreaking right now. Totally groundbreaking in the world. Well,
let's doing some groundbreaking stuff here in Atlanta, by the way. We do want to mention AW's coming up. I know you had some stuff that you wanted to talk about with us.
AW's got a great show coming on. It's going to be Sunday at the Opera. It's a cool little place to watch a show. Got Simon Gott from MLW and former WWE. The Carnies, one of the greatest indie tag teams ever. They got a 4-way women's match with former NXT talent Zeta Zhang. Got Harlow O'Hara, Kylie Ray, who's phenomenal, and Aria Blake, who's also a big deal on MLW right now. So these are going to be some great matches, folks. Y'all need to look into that and talk to some people about some season tickets and see what they'll say.
Explain that real quick about how the season is. It like they pay a flat fee?
You play a fat fee. You can buy a season ticket where you get all of the shows, $200 out of pocket off the top, or you can pay monthly. There's a different monthly rate. I can't quote that on you. And that lets you get to see all the shows. You end up paying about $10 a show, which I think those tickets are normally, about 15 or so?
Yeah.
So it's a really good price. And it also gets some money in there. They can book better shows. So it's something new they're doing. Let's see how it works out.
It's a great promotion. We've seen them several times, and I'm a big fan of it. So
yeah, definitely.
Check those out.
Also, Shaul Guerrero, Eddie's daughter, is now going to be the lead commentator for Women of Wrestling, which is a big deal because the guy that's been the ring announcer, not commentator, she's going to be a ring announcer. The guy that's been the ring announcer was the guy that started Glow and Wow. So she's taken over from a pretty big name. I really happy to see this. I'm happy to see third generation talent working like this. So it's good. It's a good time for wrestling. It's a good time. It's the best time in the world for wrestling.
It's a great time for wrestling. It's also football season, so we've always got stuff going on. Saturdays is UGA football because we're here in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, I'm taking this weekend off wrestling to go to watch the Tennessee game. I've been away from football. I've not sat down and watched a game all season. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my break away from wrestling, folks.
Well, unfortunately, Saturday in the morning, I have cheerleading competition because the little one is obviously doing that again. Uh-huh. And then, believe it or not, homecoming is that afternoon.
Yeah, homecoming for my kids was last weekend.
I saw.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, man.
Yeah. I'm coming to terms with new things. He's growing a daughter who is turning into a young woman instead of my little buddy.
Yep. So. Your little buddy no longer wants to be your buddy. She's growing into a woman now.
No, she's a woman now. She's talking to boys and stuff. It's not cool.
It sucks being a dad to daughters. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you don't have girls, you don't understand. And if you do have girls, you feel our pain.
Yeah. I tell you, enjoy your time with your kids when they're little. About 9 is when a girl they start changing. And
you really won't like them when they start changing. You won't like them
about
so much.
15 or 16, they are. I thought 13 was bad, but 15 has been very difficult.
Nope. Yeah. So, and speaking of difficult situations, I do really request that on Sundays, I sometimes will put out a poll. Fantasy football season's upon us. I'm struggling a little bit this year. I'm 1-1-1.
Oh,
I've actually won one, lost one, and tied one in the first 3 weeks of the season. So that being said, I might from time to time put a poll up on Twitter at TappedOutPod. Respond to that poll if you're experts, you can tell me who I should be playing. I might put up who my quarterbacks are, who my receivers are, who my flex guys are, all that kind of stuff, and help me out. Fantasy football is just something that occupies my time on Sunday, amongst the many, many other things that I have to do on a Sunday. So wanted to throw that in there as well. But man, I don't have anything else from the wrestling world. I'm not even going to lie to you, man.
No,
it was a crazy week. I'm going to try to, wrap up a little bit this week with saying, just watch a little bit less wrestling if it's consuming your time and it's making you
hurting your relationships.
Well, no, if it's hurting your relationship with wrestling, watching so much wrestling, because it can. I will fully disclose to the world something that I don't even think I've told you. As of late, I've really been burning out on a lot of things, and it's not necessarily watching wrestling because I'd kind of peeled back how much I was watching anyway already, but just the sheer venom on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah. I was even for the podcast stuff, I was having a hard time getting on, Twitter and Facebook posting stuff because I just didn't want to see the constant complaining, constant.
Oh God, you're.
It just will suck the fan. And I told my wife at one point, I was like, one of the things that will kill your fandom most of wrestling is probably starting a podcast about wrestling.
Yeah,
because just
and that's why most
it.
people get out of the podcasting business because you go in there and you think you're going to have to see everything and keep up and then interact with everybody. No, I don't retweet and I don't really interact with a lot of people anymore.
I do. I try to be as much, but I'm only positive. I'm not arguing with people. I'm not fighting with people because honestly, I ain't got that kind of time and I ain't got that kind of energy. I don't want that kind of energy in my life. So it's just all about being positive, watching what I want to watch, going to shows we want to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got, I know it's not this weekend, but down the road, we've got, Crossroads from Southern Frieds coming up. WrestleCade's closer than we think.
Yep.
I mean, there's just show after show after show. You never know where you're going to end up, man. And look out for the shirts because apparently they recognize two fat guys in Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast shirts.
Yep. It's our entire branding.
Yeah. We are not hard to recognize. If you see us coming, trust me. If Robert Fuller recognizes us, if Robert Gibson recognizes us, if Tom Pritchard recognizes us, dude, we're probably pretty recognizable at this point. And I don't mean that in like we're over. Just people go like, holy shit, those are two big some bitches and they wear the same shirts.
Yeah, as far as we wear the outfits you can recognize. Right. We wear our gear everywhere we go.
So that being said, man, I guess if I got nothing and you got nothing, man, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.